McLaren's weekend was beset by problems, which started during Friday's practice session with this accident for Häkkinen. Problems of their own. Countdown to the start, but the amber lights are flashing, signalling an aborted start. Herbert's car is overheated, and unbelievably, so is Barrichello's. A disastrous start to the season for Stewart. The start of the second formation lap, and Coulthard has problems. But worse for Schumacher, he'll have to start. Damon Hill's in the thick of it, a nudge there from Trulli. There's an off. It's Jacques Villeneuve in a spin. The Canadian's lost it in a big way, and he's lucky not to collect Diniz.
Well, it's quite simple. He lost his rear wing and lost traction, and obviously had a crash.
No, it wasn't too bad because I didn't go straight towards the wall, so it was okay. The car was running really strong.
Lap 21, and Alex Zanardi's on the rough stuff, trying desperately to hold it together. And there's another driver in trouble. It's Alexander Wurz. The Benetton suspension has collapsed, but that neat little recovery won't help.
People which were following me saw a little bit of fog. The engine blew up. I doubt there is something left.
Ricardo Zonta was lucky to escape serious injury after this accident. Jordan driver nips up the inside, and they've touched. The Austrian takes to the grass. A huge accident there for Stefan Sarrazin. He's okay. He lost control of the car exiting the last corner.
I don't know. My car did in straight line, and I crashed.
Frenzen's not crossed the line yet, and he doesn't look likely to make it. The Germans run out of fuel on the final lap. But luckily for Jordan, he's the only other driver on the same lap as the leaders, and so keeps his position on the podium.
My neck was knackered. It was just finished. I was not able to hold my neck up, and I thought it's going to risk myself. So I let it rest on the headrest.
There's a spinner. It's Pedro de la Rosa and Alexander Wurz. Both drivers are out. Over 12 seconds in front now, and Häkkinen's lost it. Into the barrier. Absolutely incredible.
Coming off the curb, the rear tires dropped back in the tarmac and he spun the car around. Looks like it was my mistake. I couldn't handle it.
Michael Schumacher's weekend did not start as well as it ended. This incident on Saturday morning not only lost him valuable track time, but also put his race car out of action for qualifying. Controversy lay ahead when Häkkinen snatched pole under yellow flags.
I lift my arm up to slow down a little bit. I saw the situation 100%. It was everything under control.
To be honest, I will be surprised if it stays the order as it is now, because yellow flags is yellow flags, and we'll see what happens later.
Mika Häkkinen's lap was allowed to stand, and he kept pole position. Down to the chicane, and Hill dives up the inside of Ralf Schumacher, and they've collided. Damon's out on the spot, but Ralf is able to continue. It's the Englishman's third retirement of the year. That's Mika Salo into the tyre barrier and out of the race. And off at the old station hairpin. It's Ralf Schumacher into the barrier. Stewart's weekend was far from great, as the same mechanical failure accounted for both their cars during the race. Johnny Herbert was the first victim on lap 32.
Well, it seems that we have a suspension failure.
Rubens Barrichello's in trouble. That's a heavy shunt into the tyre wall, the result of more suspension problems for the Stewart team.
I was over the swimming pool corners when we lost the suspension, and I spun and I crashed.
Really off the base, struggling the whole weekend. We have to really analyze now.
Fisichella alongside Coulthard, around the outside and up to fourth. That's truly on grass, and he's hit Alesi and Barrichello. Disaster.
All the people from Ford are here to see the race, and we didn't have a failure. We had someone driving a Formula 1 very bad.
Turn 15 accounted for many retirements during the race.
And I don't know, maybe it was my mistake.
Ricardo Zonta was the first, Damon Hill was next.
Well, it was an accident. I crashed the car.
That's Schumacher over the curb. He's lost it.
Well, that was very clearly a mistake by myself.
Villeneuve currently 9th into turn 15 and into the wall. A heavy impact there for the local driver. Irvine keeps his foot down, there's contact, and both drivers are off.
Alongside him, and Johnny braked really late, and I had to brake that little bit later, and we didn't make the corner.
I think it was a bit naughty what he did, because he had no intention of going around the corner.
The Jordan driver's under pressure, and he's off. It's a big one into the tyre wall. Brake failure on the Jordan meant Frentzen didn't stand a chance, giving Eddie a headache. The view from Jean Alesi's Sauber, and the Frenchman's off, caught out by large areas of standing water. There's another. It's Jacques Villeneuve notching up his 7th successive retirement. It's turning into a nightmare for the drivers out there. That's Fisichella. He's lost it, but is lucky enough to catch the Benetton and continue. And on the throttle into Stowe, and the Germans late on the brakes, locking up across the gravel, and that's a very heavy impact into the tyre barrier. Charging down to Stowe corner, Schumacher saw his opportunity to pass, but locked up and went straight on, hitting the tyre barrier with considerable force. There was much speculation to what caused the off. Was it a mechanical fault or driver error? Michael, the double world champion, now removed from his car, will be taken to hospital for a full examination.
Michael Schumacher was admitted to Northampton General Hospital this afternoon and found to have sustained a straightforward fracture of the right tibia and fibula. These injuries were reduced during a surgical procedure which was uncomplicated.
Problems for Mika Hakkinen. He's lost his rear wheel. Unbelievable. The wheel bounces across the circuit and very nearly takes out Fisichella. Coulthard's having a look, diving up the inside of Hakkinen into turn 2, and he's taken Mika off. There's Salo into the back of Herbert. Hakkinen stranded by the side of the circuit.
I just couldn't talk in that moment. I was just too emotional in that situation, and I just didn't want to talk.
Mika was magnanimous about the incident. It was an ambitious move by DC, but could prove very costly for his teammate come the end of the year.
It was a mistake on my part. I took him out, and you know, what can I do? I can't reverse the race. It happens.
There's trouble further back. Villeneuve's out of shape, and he's taken Diniz with him. It's a blowout on Hakkinen's McLaren at tremendous speed. The Finn can do nothing to slow himself down, and it's a heavy impact.
And I was just looking in my mirror. I was just looking in my mirror, thinking about, wow, you know, is everything cool? Everything's fine. And then it just went bang, you know. And just lost the control.
Mika's tyre burst at 190 miles per hour.
When you spin off like that, you know, you do get some more grey hair.
The accident was terrifying, but not the first of the weekend. A cut on David Coulthard's tyre during qualifying caused a similar failure. Unable to race at his home Grand Prix, Michael Schumacher appeared on the big screens to update his fans on his progress.
It's not only a bone problem, it's as well on my heel where I have a cut, and that is basically more affecting me because of the flexibility of my foot and the healing itself. And I don't really I'm not able to predict when things will be right.
Worse was to follow on Saturday morning when he came across Pedro de la Rosa at high speed. The severity of the impact caused concern. This year's weekend didn't start any better when he suffered suspension failure during Friday's practice session.
The front suspension just came off when I hit the brakes.
Both drivers would attempt the daunting corner without lifting, and the result was almost a carbon copy of last year's accident.
It's pretty close to last year. I think the impact was smaller, but I rolled, so that was a bonus.
When the session restarted, Ricardo Zonta went straight out. The Brazilian didn't back off from the challenge and suffered an even more spectacular accident than Villeneuve. That's Herbert. He's lost it under braking, and there's nothing he can do to slow the car down. Straight into the tyre barrier and out of the race. Salo's playing the team game, now driving 3 seconds a lap slower than he's capable of, blocking Ralf Schumacher and helping Irvine retain fourth. The German's getting frustrated but is unable to pass. To maximise his championship points, something Patrick Head is furious about. And Takagi tussle for the same piece of road. That incident putting the Spaniard out. Racing to the chicane, and that's Giancarlo Fisichella going straight on. A nudge of the barrier. Badoa and Takagi are scrapping for 16th. Late on the brakes by the Arrows driver, and he's taken the Minardi out of the race. Tora manages to continue. Lap 29, and Mika Hakkinen has an 8-second advantage. He's got it sideways. Unbelievable. The McLaren grinds to a halt. Hakkinen showing his frustration at throwing away 10 valuable championship points.
Nothing wrong with the car. I selected wrong gear, so I made a mistake, and that's it. End of story.
With 3 races left, the championship's likely to go down to the wire and the final round at Suzuka.
So get the Japanese visa, basically. Real men never cry.
In car with Alexander Wurz. Hill slows in front. The Austrian has to take evasive action. That's a huge shunt for one of the Saubers. It's Pedro Diniz, but he appears to be okay. But he's gone off! Unbelievably, he's driven straight on at the corner, across the gravel, and is unable to stop. Giancarlo Fisichella is the new race leader, and he's lost it too! And that's Hill spinning in the middle of the pack. Another miserable race for the Englishman. Wirtz and Villeneuve and the Benetton drivers forced the Canadian wide. A wild spin for Jacques, who rejoined. And David Coulthard can feel his McLaren slipping away. A huge off there for the Scotsman. Amazingly, he manages to continue, but that's the end of McLaren's hopes of retaining the Constructors' title. The Finn crosses the line to win the race and the driver's title in style.
Brilliant.
So you retire?
Mika Häkkinen won the title by 2 points from Eddie Irvine. Heinz-Harald Frentzen finished third, 2 points ahead of David Coulthard. The Schumacher brothers are 5th and 6th. Ferrari win their first Constructors' title for 16 years, beating McLaren by 4 points. Jordan have their best ever season, finishing third with 61. Stewart pipped Williams to 4th spot by a single point. This season's debutants, BAR, failed to score.